When the Luger came, it came in a box like this. I thought it was going to come in a medium box like this high, but I'm glad it didn't come in a box this high. What? Too soon? The PO8 or Luger, an iconic gun which has been seen in so many films and video games, and is known for its unique and unusual features, design and function. Designed and built by Gerard Luger in 1983, it was first adopted by the Swiss Army and manufactured in 1898. Unlike most guns, the PO8 has gone through very few changes in its time. I guess if you get the design right, just stick to it. The Luger first saw service in the Spanish Civil War, and then further service with the German army in World War I and World War II. Unlike many pistols given to the servicemen and officers, the Luger was more of a status symbol rather than an army issue. Welcome to another one of my videos. This one unusually set outside because of this. Get down. Not that.
T's and C's apply. Car Pet Insurance is administered by Insurance Factory Limited. Classic FM.
Today I've got something slightly different, and this is the 6-inch WE PO8, commonly known as the Luger. I looked on YouTube and there is no good videos really promoting the Luger. Everyone's saying that it's an awful pistol, mainly because of the situation with the hop-up. I'd even go as far as to say Joseph, who's associated with Christoph on Novrid's channel, did a WE Luger, the gold one, caption up here, and he wasn't very satisfied with it at all. This one, as you can see, is not in the best of form. It's a little bit more beaten up. This actually was a boneyard that I found and I paid £40 for. It had a few issues. The magazine was leaking and it was jamming. So I got it very cheap. And I wanted to get it because, why not? It's a Luger. I mean, it looks brilliant. It's a very unusual gun, but compared to something like a 911, it's a very unusual design, but I like it. So I didn't want to spend £150 on a brand new gun if it was as awful as it said. Let's find out. So the Luger is a metal gun with a plastic grip. The grip, unfortunately, is plastic, whereas on the real gun it would have been a wooden grip. Maybe it's something we can change at some time. The grip has got the checkering on there, or the diamond shape, which is also apparent to the original gun. There is no slide back on the Luger. Obviously what you've got is this toggle, which when fired comes back and then engages forward. You also see that the barrel moves back slightly as well. And that's what's made it an interesting looking gun. I like the fact that it's got this sort of bar in the bottom here. I'm assuming it's for the gripping of the magazine to pull it out. Of course it is. So let's have a look around the gun. So as I say, it's all metal on the top here. You've got the toggle, which actually there's no real wobble in there at all. It's quite firm. In fact, the whole thing, it's just the magazine shaking. Nothing shakes on there at all. It's actually quite a tough little pistol. So the inner barrel comes up to about here on the Luger. This also is the 6-inch version, as I say, and then you can get a 9-inch, which has got a much longer barrel. I kind of like the look of this one. It's more classic. You've got a takedown lever just here, and when you rotate this, then this loading plate comes off, meaning you can disassemble the gun. On the other side, there's nothing. One thing about this Luger is that there is very little markings on there at all. There's no engraving, there's nothing at all. All you've got is, at the top here is 1915, and then strangely you've got 15 plated in 3 places on here as well. The fact this is a little bit beaten up actually doesn't bother me because, well, it would have been. These were used by the Swiss army, as I think I said earlier on, but they're mainly taken over and developed by the German, or used predominantly by the Germans in World War I and World War II. The Luger has changed very little since it's been built. I guess the reason is that if you do it perfectly first time, you don't need to do it again. So the Luger is fairly timeless in regards to it hasn't changed a whole lot. Whereas something like this, which is obviously the 1911, changed from the Vietnam Type 1 that they used before, and then it went to the A1, and then it's got the high cappers and all this kind of stuff. The Luger just keeps working. The sight you've got is a V shape on the back, and then on the front it's a pin sight. The sights are very minimal and fairly hard to adjust to, but then this sort of thing, this kind of gun, you're not going to be shooting at huge long distances. It's going to be more sort of shooting from the hip. One thing I would say about the Luger, which is a personal thing, when you shoot at 1911, the slide comes back and you're already there, and you still acquire the sights. It doesn't move. Yes, it comes back towards you, but you don't really get a feel with that. With the Luger, when you shoot it, this comes hurling back, which means that you can no longer sight until it drops back in again. It's a bit of a, when I first shot it and this came flying back at me, it kind of makes you jump a bit. Kind of like comes flying back up. It's quite a big bolt of metal that comes straight at you. I guess you get used to it, but it, as I say, it did make me laugh, and yet scared. So finally, on this side as well, you've got your lock, so that when the gun is in lock, so when the gun's in that position, it's ready to fire. But if you drop it down, then you can no longer pull the trigger, or it has no response. The Luger has also got the lock back after the last shot. To disengage this is quite strange. With the 1911, you just rack it back. This, it doesn't do that. The only way of doing it is by pressing your metal magazine release, and then it will lock back into, or drop down again. Takes some getting used to. It's not what I'm used to, but I like it. The biggest problem I think we've got is the hop up. If you saw Joshua's video, then he basically had a problem where he was putting bullets into his gun and the bullets were just dropping out. And he had a problem with the hop up, saying that there wasn't one. And he is right. There isn't one which is in the traditional way, but it does have a bit of a hop. It's more of an O-ring inside the tube, and there's a little screw that you can put. I'm going to take this apart, I'll show you. Magazine, it's a single stack magazine. It's a gas reservoir down the bottom. To fill it, actually this is quite a good magazine to fill. You've got a little toggle again on the side here, and by pulling this down, it releases or comes back behind a hole. And then simply drop your BBs into the hole. This is like some of the early 1911s that I used to have. So I'm trying to do it on camera. And in wind. This magazine, I understand, holds up to 17 BBs. And there you go. You all know how to load a magazine, right? Once you've done that, put it back, you're ready to shoot. What's not to like? It's a lot of fun. The kick isn't that great on it. Obviously with the 1911 you've got this massive piece of metal sliding backwards and forwards. Even on airsoft it's not great. On this, again, it's not really that huge. But the design of the Luger, with this part here, it sits really nicely. I'm going to do it this way around. That's not going to help. It sits really nicely in your hand. It kind of balances. It's a very comfortable gun to feel and hold, and actually it doesn't feel bulky at all. And although there isn't a lot of kickback on there, it's still got enough that you feel it. You feel that you've shot it. Okay, it's not a blowback, but it's not a hard kicking gun, but it's not bad. I guess the last thing really to talk about on the Luger as well is you've got the metal trigger guard on the bottom here. The trigger on this is very basic. It's basically just a spring that comes in here, and it's operated through this plate that makes it go back. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have a look at it further. The trigger is huge. Again, I'm comparing it with 1911s. If you look at the trigger, the length or the size of the trigger on there, they're very small, they're very dainty. This thing is huge. And not only that, if you look, you can see it coming all the way around to here. It's a fat, big trigger, and it just sits in your hand. And all it's got on the back here is a spring, just one spring, just to push it back into place again. It's very basic, but it works. And I like it. Okay, I'm going to test the Luger now. Fully loaded it. Let's check out what the FPS is, and let's see how many BBs we get from one mag fill. This is filled with green gas. Magazine 2. Well, that's not very impressive, is it? So the idea here is just to see how consistent the gun is, or how accurate it is, shooting off a solid platform. Quite a lot of wind blowing across the garden this way. let's have a look at how that did. So clearly the wind's blowing, coming across, as I said. The BBs have been affected, so the wind's clearly coming across this way. Probably why the shots are all on this side. Grouping wise, I mean that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sticker in there, so 8 in there out of the 14. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 there, so that's 12, possibly one up there. Yeah, I mean, it's all in a handshake. Okay, the distance wasn't great, but I mean, it's not falling out the it's not falling out the end of the barrel, right? Okay, so let's do a quick takedown of the Luger. Just a quick fill strip so you can see what it's like. So first thing we want to do, take out the magazine. Okay, so then we've got the the takedown lever here, and this just rotates around, and then this plate comes away. Okay, so this then should slide straight off. The trigger can be disassembled by moving this around. This would actually come out and the trigger will then pop out. It's very simple. It's just in here, literally on these, with a spring in there. So it's quite a simple system. Okay, so we don't need that. So what you've got is, obviously this is your top, the toggle, and that comes back here. There's a gas release on there, I believe that's what the screw is. Now this screw here is the one that they're saying is the part for the hop up. So let's take this back. So you've got your nozzle here, obviously in your loader on the side here with this potential hop up, and then you've got your recoil spring just inside here. On the KWC there is two. It's got one spring here, another spring, and then a plate in the middle, but with the WE version it's just one long spring. That's it. That part there, I think, would be, on a real gun, would be the shell ejecting. That would catch the bullets as they came out. There it is. Okay, let's put this back together. So what you've got is this little spring just here. So when you push this back in again, this spring here just seems to catch. So by touching that, that all goes forward, plate goes on, spring back, the safety is fairly simple. You can see how that works. Voila. So to conclude, filming outside is very difficult because the sun keeps going in, and continuity is going to be very difficult. Also, you have things like the wind, which hopefully hasn't messed this video up too much. Let's find out. Conclusions. The Luger P08. Is it your cup of tea? I found this gun, as I say, as it was a boneyard, £40. Even if it was just a display piece, then I would still be happy. I really like it. Shooting wise, okay, it's not tight, but it wasn't inaccurate. The BBs didn't fall out the end of the BBs didn't fall out the end of the barrel as it has done on other people's videos. We haven't had any malfunctions. We haven't had any lockbacks. It's worked perfectly throughout the whole video. Chrono 290, 300. That's not bad. I have to say, I think this is a really nice bit of kit. I'm really glad for £40. It's a stonking little gun. What are your thoughts? Did you buy one? Do you like it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button if you like it, and subscribe if you can. We're coming up to 500 subs. Thank you very much. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for keep watching my video. I'll see you soon on the next one.
Hello, and I was just saying that this channel is actually good, quite good, that I think that my dad deserves a whole room of guns. We have a playroom in our house, and I think we can, if we just enter all of it out, we can just make it into a gun room, so my dad doesn't have to keep it all in a dusty, musty room with loads of spiders. So I was just saying, so if we could make that into a gun room, so it would be easier for him to keep going, and also, if he messes up, he can try again. So, I think his channel has came successfully to the world, and I was just saying, I think he should hit 500 subscribers before the people who are going to get there. I think that this might just work out perfectly. No messing up. Just try again successfully. Try, like when I was doing something, I accidentally messed up in my school, and when I messed up, I kind of felt like I needed to try again. That might be the same for the channel. So that's all I want to say. And yeah, stop now.